Hello, so today we are going to be making a vegan taco, which is made with mushrooms and cashews and lentils, and it's going to have some pickled cabbage, red cabbage, with a salsa verde, and for those who can have it, I'm going to slice up some avocado to dress it up, and I'm going to make the tortillas from quinoa flour. So let's jump right in. The first thing we're going to do is our cabbage because it needs to pickle a little bit, so let's get started. Okay, so the first thing you want to do is make sure that you have washed your head of cabbage, and then we're going to cut it in half. Make sure your knife is sharp. Now I'm going to cut it in half this way, and if your knife gets stuck, take a towel and wiggle it till you get it out. Turn it over, find the cut you were doing, go back in, take the towel over the head again, wiggle it till you can get it through. Usually I get it through on the second try, but apparently this is a stubborn head of cabbage. And there we go, all the way through. Okay, next we're gonna core this. The easiest way that I've found is you go in at an angle and you make like a triangle, kind of, to get that core out because it's hard to digest. And there you go, you've cored that. Now you can put this in your scraps for making a vegetable stock later. Okay, now it's time to shred some cabbage. And you want to keep them about 1/4 of an inch or so that after you go through your pickling stage, it still has a little bit of a crunch, but not too much. And when it gets too high, you just turn and rotate it, making sure you always protect those fingers. Okay, there we go. Now we're going to transfer this into a bowl so that we can pickle. So we're transferring it, the cabbage, from the cutting board into a bowl. You want to break it up just slightly. Okay, we're continuing to break them up as we transfer them. Now, if you wanted to be super fancy, you could take off one leaf at a time, roll it into a beautiful little log, and do a chiffonade on these. But as the cabbage has this natural, like shredded consistency, just compressed together, I just go ahead and slice it and then transfer. So now we have all these little pieces in. Next, we are going to season it. Yes, of course we season. So we're just going to season it with a little salt, about 1/4 of a teaspoon, a little pepper, and then we get our vinegar. So I'm doing rice vinegar. You can use apple cider vinegar or white vinegar, whichever you choose. I just like the milder taste of the rice vinegar. So we're gonna sprinkle a general amount of that on there. It's about 1/2 cup. And then we're gonna go ahead and cover that and let that go. So first thing we're gonna do is cover it up, give it a little toss to make sure it's all covered. And then we're gonna sit it aside for about an hour or so, just a quick pickle. Always remember to work with a sharp knife. We're gonna go ahead and hone our knife since we went through the cabbage. I'm gonna make sure it's nice and sharp as we make our salsa verde next. So just bear with me. You just wanna go over it about 10 times on each side. And that lovely little pinging that you hear lets you know that you're sharpening your knife correctly. What you don't want to hear is this. You want to hear this. Okay. Always wipe your knife off after you sharpen it. Make sure the blade is facing away from you. Come on down, that removes any metal bits. So typically I would fire roast these, but I have a gas stove and I can't find my grill pan at this moment. So I'm just gonna go ahead and cut these and put them in the blender. So what I always do is I cut the top off. Now, depending on the strength or the spiciness of your salsa, you would then go ahead, cut down the middle. You would remove the seeds and this vein. So let me show you how to do that. I'm going to use my paring knife. You'd go through, cut down on each side and around. Again on this side, down and around. And wiggle it just a little bit. It's still stuck in a little spot. So wiggle it a little bit. You should be able to pull these all out. And then clean the rest of them out, and then go ahead and start slicing and dicing. I however love spice, so it's fine, but I will show you. You would just go through, slice. Make sure to clean the other side of your blade, and then go ahead and line them up so you can chop them up really nicely. Move this to the side so you can see better. You want to be uniform in your cuts whenever you're cutting, but in this particular recipe, it's not that big of a deal because we're going to put it in the blender. So I'm going to finish cutting these up and then I'll be right back. Next up is tomatillos. I guess the best way I can describe these are Mexican green tomatoes or Latin green tomatoes. They come with a little paper skin on them. In the store you want to peel back just so you can check to see what the fruit looks like on the inside. And you give it a little twist and it all comes off. So peel back. Sometimes they stick, it's fine. Just take your time, almost like peeling an onion skin off, right? It's kind of papery, so you take your time and just work your way around until you get it all off. If you need to, you can always run it under the water, but if you take your time, as you can see, pretty much comes right off. And I will go ahead and run these underwater afterwards. I just want to get this off because it's kind of sticky. And you give it a little twist and that piece comes off. Next one, same thing, just rinse and repeat. See, not difficult at all. Last one. I only did four. I only got 4 tomatillos because I'm not going to do a bunch of salsa. And the more tomatillos you put in, the milder your salsa will be. Because I only did 2 jalapenos. They're not really hot. I would have really loved to have had some serranos, but I couldn't find any in my local market, so I did the jalapenos. And that's why I'm only doing 4 tomatillos. So I'm going to give these a quick rinse, and then I'll be right back. Okay, we're back from our rinse. Now we're going to use our knife. You could do it in many ways, but again, we're putting this in the blender to turn it into a salsa, so I just cut it in 4s. Once across, and then again, holding it to make sure your hands are safe and won't get cut. Into the blender they go. Again, holding it with your fingers tucked in away from the blade. Two more to go. Now, you can use any onion you want for your salsa, but because we want to stay green, we are going to either use a yellow or a white onion. I have a yellow onion because I used my white onion earlier, but if you use a red onion, the colors will mix and it'll come out brown. The flavor will still be a salsa, but the color won't be as bright. So give me one moment. You can cube your onion or cut it in 4s, however you want. I had already used some of this onion, so it's being kind of cubed. So it's big chunks. But again, it's going into the blender, food processor, whatever you have to make the salsa. Now you can also, again, do this all on the stove to make the flavors a little more spicy, but we're going for a medium spice. So I'm not going to heat the chilies, because when you put the chilies to fire, it increases the heat in the chili. Okay, and lastly, we're going to do the cilantro. So for the cilantro, I just like to kind of grab it in a ball. Of course, this is after you've washed it, and just kind of chop it, making sure to keep my fingers tucked. And I cut everything. And then we'll just go through it like this with a rough chop, because again, this is going to go in our blender. Use our little bench scraper, take that and transfer it over. And it goes. Then my fun part, because it's lemon, and I did this the day that I got a manicure, so it's gonna burn my cuticles because I cut them today, but we're gonna use some lemon. So we can get some lemon juice in there. So here's a nice little lemon. Cut it in half and squeeze the lemon in your blender. For the liquid that you put in your blender, you can use water, you can use stock, you can even use plant-based milk if you'd like. I'm going to use some vegetable stock that I already made, and you're going to salt it with a little bit of salt and pepper. Let's take a look. So this is the consistency you want your salsa to be. It still has a little movement to it, and you do want to taste it. So I usually take it, put it in my palm, and taste. Oh, that's good. It's vibrant. I think I need a little bit more salt and a little bit more black pepper. You always want to season to taste. You can always add more salt. You can't take the salt out. Now, if this is too spicy for you, again, remember removing the seeds and the vein of the pepper. You can also add some peas to this to tame it down a little bit. We're gonna run this through the blender a little bit more, and then we'll be right back. Seasoning is perfect. Pour it into your container. I'm pouring mine into a mason jar. And put the lid on this one, cover it up. Another one. Fill that up. Now this can stay in your refrigerator for up to a week. This won't last in ours because we love our salsa and we put it on everything. Next step, we're going to make the filling for our tacos. These are what I call my mushroom tacos. We have two different types of mushrooms. We have the baby bella, the creminis, shiitake, only a few shiitake, cashews, raw cashews, because you're going to roast them yourselves, and lentils. It can be any color. I just choose I think these are brown, I think that's their name, but these all together. And we're going to mix them together. We're going to toast the lentils, toast the cashews, cut this up, and we'll season it. We are going to toast 1 cup of lentils and a half a cup of cashews. I'm using my kitchen shears to open this because this is a stubborn bag. It doesn't want to open. Put that open. This is a cup, so we're just going to take a half a cup of the raw cashews. Well, let's make it a cup of the raw cashews. They are unsalted, unroasted raw cashews. If you have a tree nut allergy or a nut allergy, you could just use 2 cups of lentils, or a lentil and a black bean, a lentil and a red bean, just something else with more protein. We are toasting the lentils to take the rawness out of it and to give it a more robust, nutty flavor that will help intensify the flavor of the inside of our taco. And while you're toasting them, you want to move them occasionally because you don't want them to be in one spot and burn. These have been toasting for about 5 minutes, so they're ready to come off. Now we do the same with our cashews. And no, I don't have any oil in here because we're going to add oil later, and we don't want it to be an overly oily taco. Plus, the nuts have a natural oil that will start to release as well. It should only take about 3 or 4 minutes to get these toasted. It's not to get them cooked. It's just to bring out the flavor a little bit more. As you can see, there's some browning that's occurring. That's perfect. That's exactly what we want. We want them brown, not burnt. Okay, these look good to me. I'm going to go ahead and transfer them to my bowl, and then we'll start working on the mushrooms. These are some really good looking mushrooms. So the tops, we're just going to cut in fourths as it's going to go through the food processor. Along with the lentils and the cashews, and this will make the mixture for our tacos, so the meat replacement mixture. This is all vegetarian. There is no animal proteins in this taco meat, so we're just going to do that really quickly. And always protect your fingers. Take the mushrooms and put them in food processor. With these, the stalks have a woodier taste to them, but it will round it out very well. So you just want to cut them to smaller portions just to make it easier for the food processor to break it down. Again, this is just rough chops. There's no julienne or anything like that. It's just a rough chop just to get them in smaller pieces, and into the processor they go. For our shiitake mushrooms, I took the stems off and cut them down into smaller pieces. Then I went ahead and cut them into strips, and then from there cut them into manageable cubes. The reason for this is the shiitake has a different type of texture than the other mushroom, the button mushroom. So it's a little bit more springy, spongy, if you will. So I wanted it in a smaller portion before going into the processor. Now that our mushrooms are in the food processor, we're gonna put our seasonings. We're gonna wait on putting the salt in because the mushrooms release water, and the salt will help to release the water. We don't want to do that until it's in the pan. So we're gonna do pepper, some cumin, about a teaspoon or so, some ground coriander, another teaspoon, we're going to do some onion powder, half a teaspoon, some garlic powder, another half a teaspoon, on a second, I gotta open it. Great. Half a teaspoon of the garlic powder. Now you notice I'm using garlic powder and onion powder, not salt. We need to put in a little bit of our smoked paprika, just to give it a little bit more smokiness. Since we're not using any meat, we want to have a smokiness come through. And if you don't have smoked paprika, you can use regular paprika. Just use the smoke to give it a little bit more smokiness that you would normally get from meat. We're gonna put in some oregano as well. So it was about a half a teaspoon of smoked paprika and about a good teaspoon of your oregano. And we're gonna add in our nuts and our lentils. So let me take this off so you can see what it looks like. Add in our nuts and our lentils. Now, I'm not sure what kind of processor you all have, but if you have one that has a plastic base like me, you want to make sure that your nuts and your lentils have cooled off enough before you put them in, so that they don't melt into the vessel. All right, time to blend it up. Okay, let's pop it open and have a look. Now you can see the lentils. Some are still intact, some have broken down. That's perfectly fine. Oh, I wish you guys could smell it. It smells really good. So at this point, we just want to taste it, see if we have our seasoning. So to start off, the seasonings are there, but we are about to cook this down, and we're going to use a broth to further cook this down. So let's transfer. Time to cook our mushroom meat. So you're going to take about 2 tablespoons of oil and put it in your pan. Make sure your pan is nice and hot before you put the oil in, so it will run like it does here. I probably should have showed you the bubble test where you put the water in and it dances around to let you know it's ready, but I forgot to do that. So we're just going to take our mixture, put it in. Hear that nice little sizzle? That's what you want to hear. Now I'm working on an electric stove, so it might be different if you have a gas stove or an induction range stove. But we're just going to cook it to brown it, and then we'll adjust our seasonings, and then we will add some stock. You can use any stock that you choose. I'm going to use a vegetable stock, or you can even use water, and it's going to be about 1.5 cups to cook it down. So as I'm cooking, I know my husband's going to want this to be a little spicier. You can even, if you had more salsa like I did, you can even put that in here if you wanted. But we're going to cook this on a medium heat until it starts to brown and smell delicious. Don't forget to add your salt to your mushrooms. To your meat mixture, your mushroom meat mixture, I should say. And then you want to taste it so that you can adjust the seasonings to taste. So the recipe will have everything that I put in here, but you can always scale it up or back, however you feel. I did put a pinch of clove in here. So now I'm going to add water because my stock is still frozen. I thought it was thawed out. This is about 1 cup of water. And this is going to help our lentils to cook down and to marry all those wonderful seasonings. So you want to do this over slow heat. A very low heat, nice and slow. And let it cook up. It has a little bit of fat from our oil that we put in. I used olive oil, but if you're not allergic, you can use avocado oil. Unfortunately, I'm allergic to avocado, so I can't use it, but an avocado oil would be really good.